This series had been insane to say the least. 3 of the first 5 games went to overtime, while another went down to the wire in regulation. So it was no surprise that we were treated to not 1, not 2, but 3 overtimes in Game 6, as the Bulls desperately tried to avert getting knocked out, while the Celtics thought they could sneak out of town with the win. Turned out, nobody really wanted to win it until we got this great steal from Joakim Noah and the finish in Paul Pierce's face. Brad Miller had his best game of the series with 23 points, and there was a distinct pattern to how he got a number of his buckets. We keep seeing the Bulls rely heavily on this Iverson cut series, where Salmons cuts across the court off 2 screens to receive the pass. When he gets into the middle, the defense collapses, and Miller takes advantage of the big baby rotation in the lane to get the wide open jumper. Here's a wrinkle where they have Ben Gordon set a flare screen first, then come off the double flat screen Iverson cut. Knowing how dangerous Gordon has been, Brian Scalabrine doubles hard to give Ray Allen a chance. Again, middle penetration forces Scalabrine to rotate over, and Paul Pierce is supposed to rotate down. He's too concerned with Salmons, who was hot, and Miller gets the layup. The fear I have with the Iverson cut is that the angle of the pass could get intercepted pretty easily, as Paul Pierce almost demonstrates here. However, there's a counter to over-aggressive defense in this pass. Let Salmons cut through to the wing, then hit Noah at the high post after the screen. This triggers a backdoor cut. Ray Allen can't get to Miller in time, and he's got another little jumper. That brings us to Ray Allen's burst of scoring, as he lit it up for an almost playoff franchise record of 51 points. The lesson learned by Derrick Rose is to identify and then stick to Allen in transition as early as possible. He quickly looks over his right shoulder, but might not have realized who it was. As a result, he's several seconds late as Ray gets a wide open shot. The Celtics wanted to attack the shorter Ben Gordon down low in the post. So out of this out-of-bounds play, they bring everyone above the free throw line except Allen on the right block. He turns this into an easy 10-foot jumper. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So they run it again, and because of defensive rules back then, the help couldn't get there fast enough. Here's another common set they ran for Allen a lot. It starts with a back screen at the elbow and then allows him to sprint underneath a pin down at the left block. It didn't get him much space from Gordon, but he can elevate over him for the tough jumper. Same play again, and this time Rondo finds an opening for the quick pass. Ray bobbled the catch, so he continues to play out on the perimeter, waving Rondo off so he can force a switch off the ball screen. We might have forgotten, in Milwaukee, Allen was a dribble drive artist. They run it for a third time, and when he stays outside the lane, it triggers the weak side corner to cut through while Allen sprints off the same back screen he had gotten. Big Baby sets the solid screen, Rondo hits him on the flare, and it's another open shot for 3. To give you an idea of how masterful Ray Allen is off the ball, we've seen this quick pin away work earlier in the series. But this time, when he doesn't get the ball, he never stops moving, breaking into a ball screen to double flare screen action that got both Heinrich and Rose going to the ball. Rose goes underneath the screen, and that's all the room Allen needs to knock this one down. Let's examine how John Salmons got 35 points in 60 minutes of playing time. The Bulls run motion weak into pure pinch post from the triangle offense as Tyrese Thomas sets the screen for Gordon out top, then turns around and gets the ball near the elbow. While the play fell apart, inviting a strong double team to combat the brilliant Gordon shot making all series, it allows Joakim Noah to flash middle to relieve the pressure. Rondo is late on the gamble, leaving Salmons with the lick your thumb and check the win before shooting three-pointer. This was the same play we showed earlier where Gordon flare screens before doing an Iverson cut to the right wing. Rose has the option of hitting Salmons on his cut, and he's feeling it as he banks this one in. Sorry, John, you gotta call that next time. So what happens with this play if neither the flare cut on the left side or the Iverson cut to the right are open? It's supposed to flow into a high ball screen from Brad Miller, and Rose gets to attack Scalabrine into the lane. Great find on the left wing, and Salmons attacks the full scramble mode for the nice runner. And that brings us to crunch time, or the beginning of one of the longest crunch times in playoff history. This series has been all about exploiting matchups, and after a scramble to pick up players, Kirk Heinrich finds himself guarding Big Baby down low. A double team is called for, and Brad Miller comes over as the lowest guy, while Salmons drops down. This was all good, but Kendrick Perkins is too quick with the kick out, and Paul Pierce gets a big three to push the lead to 8. But the Bulls simply do not give up. Off the missed free throw, Rose pushes the ball up at 75% speed, and this is enough to scramble the defense into some cross matches, meaning Kendrick Perkins has to come out on John Salmons, who is having a career night and easily blows by him. Rondo is all turned around and doesn't know who his man is as we get treated to an athletic finish off both feet. The Celtics had some issues in the half court. Perkins is a total non-factor, and Rondo is someone they can leave open and dare to shoot from anywhere outside, which is why Rose leaves him to double Pierce. And watch how Miller won't even bother getting within 6 feet of Rondo, allowing him to guard 2 players at once. To make matters worse for the Celtics, after the brick, just a light push on the ball by Rose gets the defense all cross-matched, with Big Baby having little hope keeping Salmons in front and Perkins ineffectual protecting the rim. Doc then had Tony Allen in the lineup, so now you've got 3 players with limitations, 2 of them severe, and it makes it easier for Gordon to leave Allen to rotate out top. And he's proven right when Allen can't finish the layup. This sparks a fast break. Perkins wants to protect the paint but completely forgets that his man can shoot the ball, and this one was like shooting in practice. We'd seen Paul Pierce just torch the Bulls in Game 5 with this ISO out top, so Rose promptly comes over to force him to give it up, luring him into throwing it to Tony Allen, who almost airballs a floater. This time, when pushing the ball up the court hard, the Celtics are able to properly match up with their correct men. And on the pop, Perkins remembered what Miller did last time as he executes a poor closeout. Watch how Brad Miller splits his feet even with each other into a jab step, then crosses back over to rumble all the way to the hoop to tie the game at 101 all. Remember, Pierce has struggled more often than not isolating on John Salmons, so the Celtics force a switch to get Heinrich on him. Pierce generates a great look off the crossover but can't hit it, and the Bulls have another chance. We had seen this play work before in this series with Gordon creating, but credit Paul Pierce for the extra effort to slide to keep in front and then contest this miss into an air ball. And we've got overtime. Halfway through the first overtime, we get a sideline out of bounds play, and there is simply no excuse for Perkins being on this side of Miller, and it leads to a lob and layup. You can see Rondo is in position to defend Rose, no need to step out on that cut, and Tony Allen doesn't want to help off Ben Gordon in the corner to give a potential 3. Great design and execution by the Bulls. It's the Celtics' turn to run a good sideline out of bounds play. They run Ray Allen off a double pin down, and that triggers a switch as Thomas picks Allen up and Heinrich needs to guard Perkins. When Perkins dives, Miller is there to pick him up, but can't communicate this fast enough to Heinrich, who, had his back been to the baseline the whole time, probably would have seen this pass and stolen it. He ends up being 2 steps behind the play, and Big Baby rises up over him for the jumper. Down 2 with a perfect 2-for-1 opportunity, they run Heinrich off a flare screen, which allows Miller to pop out for the pass back into handoff. When Rose can't make something happen quickly, they reset, force a switch, and mismatch with Perkins on Salmons, and he promptly goes right by him into the lane, absorbs some contact, and finishes softly to tie the game. While it's no surprise, the Celtics again turn to Pierce when they absolutely need a bucket, but they don't try to get his nemesis Salmons off of him. With the clock under 4, excellent double, then triple team, with Thomas rotating down perfectly. Pierce misses Ray Allen coming around the bend wide open, and he tosses up an air ball. In double overtime, the Celtics try to run the elevator play for Ray Allen, where he first cross screens for Pierce, then shoots through the elevator doors. He decides to go outside the doors and can't get open. Rose did not need a double team here. Salmons was in position, and as a result, it forces Miller to close out, and Big Baby takes advantage with his quickness to get the layup. John Salmons continued to have a career night, and you can see it in his gallop against Pierce into a crossover, and Big Baby cannot offer any rim protection. They run that same back screen at the elbow action for Ray Allen, but with Rondo at the top of the circle, he doesn't deliver the ball when he was open for the layup. Heinrich chooses the wrong path to get through the screen. Miller covers for him, and amazingly, he misses. But in the scramble and recovery of the ball, Noah finds himself guarding Rondo on the right wing. As a non-threat from outside, Noah can feel free to double on Pierce down low and then take his time getting back, goading Rondo into a 3, since the Bulls were pretty sure what the outcome would be. I really like this sideline on a bounce play. While Pierce and Rondo are running pinch post action on the left side, Ray Allen is setting a pin away, then getting his own flare screen, which doesn't get him open, but when you're this good, it does not matter. However, it was only ruled a 2-point shot when they saw in real time and in replay that his foot was on the 3-point line. Without needing to shoot, the Bulls inbound and the Celtics are forced to foul right away to extend the game. So maybe this isn't an elevator play, and Ray Allen is always supposed to go to the outside of the double staggered screen. Either way, watch how Eddie House then flare screens off Big Baby. For some reason, Hinrich follows Pierce on the inside, despite Pierce setting the ball screen to the outside. This crucial mistake in footwork allows the slightest bit of daylight, and Ray Allen takes complete advantage to tie this game up. Remember we saw the inbound to go to Miller and then Rose stepped inbounds and got the handoff back? You may wonder why he wasn't inbounding again. I know I was. As a result, Rose ends up in front of the inbounder, making the pass to Miller harder, and now that it's so close to the half court, they don't have room to hand off to Rose. This possession devolves into an SHIT show. They can't even get a shot off. Can you hear me shaking my head? The third overtime started out like so many possessions for the Bulls this series, with the Iverson cut for Salmons across the court. But Rose patiently waits till he can get Scalabrine on him off the switch. Watch the through the legs into a gallop as he lifts both feet and shuffles to his left with the hand behind the ball. Once the left foot plants, he brings the right foot up, lifts into the jumper, and knocks it down. With the drag screen out high, Miller decides to blast the ball handler and almost gets the steal. But it allows Big Baby a run to the hoop as he bobs and weaves through traffic until Noah blocks the shot, fouls the shooter, and Davis hits it as well. Here's that same backstream at the elbow for Ray. Let's see how the Bulls decide to defend it. Miller switches first, and then Noah switches onto him when he uses the pin down. Notice how Salmons and Hinrich switch on the weak side to avoid a complete mismatch. But Pierce completely gets away with a shove until Rondo cuts through. Rose doubles the ball knowing Miller is there to cover for him down low, and Kirk either hits Pierce's wrist or the ball, knocking it loose, and we've got the running of the Bulls until Hinrich earns a trip to the stripe. Running both Joakim Noah and Brad Miller on the court together might seem strange in today's game, and while it was rare for them during the regular season, in the playoffs, the Bulls used this pairing over 14 minutes a game for a +3 net rating. When Rondo gets by Rose, he's greeted by Miller, and when he tries to sneak through, there's Noah on the other side to block his shot. Down 2, the Celtics try to get a simple pin down for Ray, who tries to shed Hinrich but can't. Notice how he uses the hop to get into the shot as quickly as possible, and Hinrich can't do anything about it. So, it's a tie game, under a minute left. The Celtics run a high post entry with Allen setting the pin down for Pierce into a handoff. He's got any shot he wants out of this, but watch what Noah does here. He's rotating off a shooter in the corner to help stop the ball. He knows this is inviting the pass to his man, so he changes his closeout, not to the ball, but into the passing lane. Pierce takes the bait and throws it, and now we've got a foot race, which a young and spry Joakim Noah wins with the emphatic dunk that not only draws the foul, but it's Pierce's 6th one. So now he's out of the game, and along with him, the Celtics' fortunes. However, there is still a lot of time, and I cannot believe no one on the Bulls bench picked up what was happening. This is called the hammer play, where Rondo drives to the baseline on the right side, while Eddie House is getting a flare screen on the weak side. I love the hop back by Eddie to get rhythm and a quick release, but he didn't get his feet behind the line, and it was a crucial point they sorely needed. Down 1 and not needing to foul, just play defense, Big Baby inexplicably reaches in on the inbounds pass and clearly fouls Brad Miller. I really don't understand what he was doing here. It was a huge boneheaded mistake and also his 6th foul. With 28 seconds left, there was no need to panic and fire up a quick 3. So they space the floor and Rondo attacks Rose down the middle. Watch what's happening on the weak side. A simple exchange by Marbury and Scalabrine so completely occupied Noah's focus that he wasn't in his normal hustle position to grab this rebound or prevent the putback. But it gets even more insane. The Bulls run a simple cross screen for Tyrese Thomas by Kirk Hinrich. How is it possible that both defenders chase him to the 3-point line? And then what's worse, Hinrich blows the wide open layup. And despite Rondo putting his hand in the rim, he still should have made this, but it's also mind-boggling that the refs would have missed such an obvious goaltend.